Welcome back to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We continue our conversation now with Congressman Frank Pallone, Chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee. One thing that was left hanging in the healthcare talk, you mentioned Medicare. There's a proposal among some of the candidates running for president of Medicare for all. Is that a good idea?
I call it single payer. I mean, I think they use the term Medicare for all because Medicare has a positive, connotation. But I think basically what you're talking about is a single payer healthcare system.
And you're for that?
I have no problem with it, but it's not going to happen. This is the same thing. See, Larry, what I'm trying to get across is, you can say you're for whatever you want, but if you don't have the votes, it doesn't matter, right?
So
there's no votes.
So why do people say things? Because
because they like
inspires their base, or
yeah, they like to be aspirational. They want people to know what they think is a good idea. But I mean, the problem with Medicare for all or single payer is, first of all, you'd abolish the entire private sector system. So, right, 65% of the people get their health insurance through their employer, right? And if you're going to abolish that and set up a government program, I think a lot of people, including myself, are going to be concerned, is it really going to be as good, right? The other thing, of course, is that you have to pay for it, right? So that the bill that was introduced as categorized as Medicare for all would cost trillions of dollars, and we have a pay-for rule. So you'd have to find a way to pay for it, which I don't think right now there's any way to do that effectively. So the problem is, I don't talk about Medicare for all because I don't see if there's any way to move it, right? You've got a president who would be opposed to it, you've got a Senate that's Republican, and even within the House, I couldn't get the votes.
Is it just a campaign ploy? Is it just to get, if it's never going to happen?
No, you see what the problem is? People are so disgusted with the system, right? Because they see this hodgepodge of, majority of people getting their insurance through their employer, and they have to negotiate that, and they see prices going up. The president is trying to sabotage the Affordable Care Act, and so that's causing prices for if you get your insurance through the Affordable Care Act. Then you've got Medicare and Medicaid and the veteran system. So it's very easy to say, look, just get rid of all that and have a single payer system like, for example, in Canada, right? And then we don't have to deal with all of this, right? But
so in theory, it's a good idea, but in practicality, it's just not going to happen.
Practically, I don't think first of all, there's no way to pay for it. By abolishing what most people get through their employer, most people would be opposed to that because they're not going to trust that the government's actually give them a better system. Plus, Medicare for all is Medicare doesn't cover a lot of things, right? The bill that was introduced by Bernie Sanders, right, which is most people look at that goes way beyond Medicare. In other words, it covers long-term care, nursing home care. It doesn't have any co-pays. It doesn't have any deductibles. It's not really Medicare for all because Medicare actually doesn't cover a lot of things. Most people who have Medicare, most seniors, buy supplemental insurance because Medicare doesn't cover a lot of their needs, right? So it's a kind of what I guess I'm trying to say is that a single payer system, which is really what the Medicare for all people are talking about, is a dramatic change with the status quo. And there's no way, in my opinion, that you get the votes for that. There just isn't. So yeah. I'm concentrating on doing the things that we can do. So right now, we have a whole package. At the same day we did the generic competition bills, we did a package to kind of shore up the Affordable Care Act and make insurance more affordable, guarantee that you don't lose your insurance because of pre-existing conditions, guarantee you get a good insurance package that covers a lot of things.
But getting back to the original premise of the question, when you say you want to shore up the Affordable Care Act, is that now dead?
Well, again, there's certain Republicans in the Senate, a senator by the name of Lamar Alexander, who chairs the Health Subcommittee in the Senate, who has actually introduced legislation in the past that does exactly what we do. So it's less likely than the drug pricing to get Republican support, but we're trying. We'll see.
Let's talk about some other things you want to get done. And you were after the tobacco companies and their targeting of teens. Yes. I was telling the story when I read this that at my son's grade schools, a couple kids were suspended for vaping. Grade school.
Yeah, because grade school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I didn't realize you said grade school. Yeah, the big problem is middle school, which I guess is from 5th or 6th grade to 9th, and high school. And the major, I mean, there's so many aspects of this, but the major thing is that I think a lot of the vapors, or whatever they call the e-cigarette companies, were advertising to minors, to high school, middle school, maybe even younger, with the idea that the vaping did not contain nicotine and wasn't habit forming. And so they said, well, we won't smoke cigarettes, we'll vape, and we won't get addicted. And that's not true, right? So, and I'm not making this up. If you go and talk to a middle school, they'll say, oh, vaping doesn't cause addiction. There's no nicotine in that. And that's because of the advertising. And so in 1 year, 2017 to 18, with middle school kids, there was a 78% increase in vaping, in use of e-cigarettes, 78% in 1 year.
So what can you do?
Well, that's what this bill did. The bill basically says that we're going to treat e-cigarettes like any other tobacco product, right? So you won't be able to advertise to minors. We're also raising the age to 21. We're saying you can't buy it unless you have a face-to-face, so you can't buy it over the internet. But it's not designed to just prohibit it. It's also designed to make it so that the companies can't advertise to minors, can't promote this to minors, can't tell minors that this isn't dangerous. So there'll have to be, warnings telling you that this is dangerous for your health, that type of thing.
We did pretty good in just staying on topics that were not being covered by cable news, and I'm going to end that right now. And as we leave, impeachment, what do you think?
Well, again, it's not realistic. In other words, look, I think that the president has clearly tried to obstruct justice. There's no question that that's what the Mueller report says. But what are we going to do? We know that you need 2/3 vote in the Senate to convict, right? That's never going to happen. We don't even have a majority. We have no support on the Republican side in the House. So I just think that, you got to look at this practically and say, why would we waste our time on something that's going to go nowhere? Let's not do that, and let's concentrate on actually doing things that are important that we can get done, like the things I talked about, and instead of trying to move towards impeachment and spending all your energy on that when it's not going anywhere.
Sir, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Take care.
Congressman Frank Pallone, 6th Congressional District in New Jersey. Jersey Matters continues right after this. Still to come on Jersey Matters, how'd you like to have to go out and tag sharks? Our Vanessa Tyler introduces you to some people who do just that when Jersey Matters continues.